My Lord, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to Royal College Day, our annual general meeting, council meeting and award ceremony. I would like to read out the loyal message from our patron, Her Majesty the Queen. Please convey my warm thanks to the President and Council of the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons for their message of loyal greetings sent on the occasion of their Royal College Day and annual general meeting, which is being held today at 1 Great George Street. As your patron, I appreciate your thoughtfulness in writing as you did, and in return, send my best wishes to all those who are present for a memorable and successful day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, to agenda item 3. You have before you a copy of a resolution in which the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons resolves to submit a new Royal Charter to the Privy Council for approval. The new charter, the text of which is attached to the resolution, is designed to replace the existing supplemental charter, which was granted in 1967. The 1967 charter is showing its age. It contains a lot of detail about the management of the college, which ought to be dealt with at a lower level, and other important items are not covered at all. There is no statement of the objects of the college and not a word about veterinary nurses, which is far from appropriate. Last November, the RCVS Council decided that it was time to seek a new charter to define the role of the college and provide a proper basis for its current functions. In December, we consulted the profession, veterinary nurses, interested organisations and the public. Council took stock of those responses at its meeting in March. Last month, Council approved the draft before you, which takes account of those points made by those who responded to the consultation. The British Veterinary Association played a very constructive part by identifying possible ambiguities and helping us tighten the detailed wording of the new charter. First, it defines the objects of the college in Article 3 to set, uphold and advance veterinary standards and to promote, encourage and advance the study and practice of the art and science of veterinary surgery and medicine in the interests of the health and welfare of animals and in the wider public interest. The formulation is designed to cover both the statutory role, that is, the regulation of veterinary surgeons in accordance with the Act, and the wider functions of the college. It provides a general power to undertake activities to help the college achieve its objectives, and it lists specific activities. The third innovation is the recognition of veterinary nurses as a profession. And words like historic should be used very sparingly, but on this occasion, I think it is entirely justified. We now have some 12,000 veterinary nurses on the books, 90% of them being registered veterinary nurses. Yet the present charter does not so much as mention their existence. The new charter gives the RCVS a formal duty to keep the register of veterinary nurses and make the Veterinary Nurses Council responsible for setting standards for their training, education and conduct. We're talking here about the formal recognition of veterinary nurses as a regulated profession. Finally, Article 17 of the new charter gives the Council power to create classes of associate. President, today it is a privilege to move that the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons resolves to submit this draft supplemental Royal Charter to the Privy Council for its approval and adoption, subject to any changes required by the Privy Council and agreed with the Council of the College. I beg to move.
My understanding is that the President of the British Veterinary Association, Mr. Robin Hargreaves, has agreed to second this. Is that correct? Thank you very much. So could I please ask for a clear show of hands from those who are vets, whether or not you are in support of this proposal? Thank you. Are there any against? Or abstentions? So that is unanimous. Thank you very much. That's a great day. Thank you.
President, we turn to the results of the 2014 council election. This year we had a record number of candidates, 19, and also for the first time more women standing than men. In order, those elected were Neil Smith, David Bartram, David Catlow, Susan Paterson, Jackie Molyneux and Mandisa Greene. Turning now to new members of the Veterinary Nurses Council, I'm pleased to announce that Miss Amber Richards has been elected and today starts a 4-year term on VN Council. Unfortunately, she cannot be with us today, so we cannot welcome her in person. Existing member Miss Hilary Orpet has been re-elected for a further 4-year term. We begin proceedings with a celebration of the first ever RCVS Queen's Medal. Our patron, Her Majesty the Queen, has kindly given her permission for this honour to be named after her. This is a new honour, awarded to a veterinary surgeon for a lifetime of outstanding contribution to the profession. A veterinary surgeon who has dedicated their career to working above and beyond the call of duty in the fields of veterinary medicine or science or related areas. It is the highest honour that the college can bestow.
I can announce that the first ever recipient of the Queen's Medal will be Des Thompson OBE. Des was actually nominated twice for this award, and what is clear from both of his nominations is the respect and admiration that the veterinary community in Northern Ireland and beyond has for him and his commitment to representing the interests of the profession, as demonstrated by his prodigious number of past presidencies, as well as the number of professional awards he has to his name.
The next category of award is the Honorary Fellowship by election. Mr. Andrew Holliman. Professor Maxwell Murray.
Unfortunately, Max is unable to be with us today to be presented with his honorary fellowship.
Mr. Donald Arthur Rutty. We come now to the presentation of fellowships. The award of fellowship by meritorious contribution to learning is to be made to Dr. Alan James Connolly. As Alan is unable to be with us today, his colleague Trish Duff will receive the award on his behalf. Dr. Robert Edmund Barry Hannah. We come to the presentation of diplomas. The following awards are to be made this year. Diploma in Cattle Health and Production, Owen Charles Dunbar Atkinson. Diploma in Small Animal Surgery, Orthopedics, Martin Knoll, Galani Fitzpatrick. Diploma in Zoological Medicine, Avian, Matthew Daniel Fiddes. I'd now like to hand over to the Chair of the Veterinary Nurses Council, Mrs. Kathy Kissick, who would like to take this opportunity to invite any registered veterinary nurse present to make their declaration if they've not already done so. The declaration was introduced with the new Veterinary Nurses Code of Professional Conduct in 2012.
2012, thank you. I would like to ask all veterinary nurses here today to be upstanding to make the declaration with me, please. I promise and solemnly declare that I will pursue the work of my profession with integrity and accept my responsibilities to the public, my clients, the profession, and the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. And that, above all, My constant endeavour will be to ensure the health and welfare of animals committed to my care. Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Hayley is a veterinary nurse who is dedicated to improving animal welfare and veterinary care both in the UK and abroad, and has demonstrated exceptional contributions to the profession.
This is a day for speeches, but I can reassure you that mine won't be that long. I just want to update you on what we've achieved in the last year, so that should take no more than an hour, and what more there is to do, so about another 3 hours on top of that. Just 6 months into the plan, I'm delighted to say that we have achieved a great deal. A new charter heading fast up the road to Buckingham Palace via the Privy Council, and ambitious plans to reduce the time it takes to process complaints. We're midway through an overhaul of our IT infrastructure. In November, we will trial a new consumer complaints service. There's a new status of advanced practitioner with applications open from September. Next year, we will have a new practice standards scheme, and the transition to an independent disciplinary function will be complete. And the charity partner of RCVS, RCVS Knowledge, is going great guns. A clear purpose and mandate for evidence-based veterinary medicine, and a fabulous new chair in Jackie Molyneux. A lot to be proud of, and real momentum for change and improvement. In addition, we've listened and responded to fair criticism from the profession, including a very productive evidence-gathering session on 24/7 emergency care, which has resulted in important changes. I believe listening and responding is a sign of strength and confidence. We don't seek to be popular, but to be sensible in how we regulate and respectful in how we carry out our Royal College duties. We are honest about our strengths and weaknesses and determined to be the best we can be. Thank you for your support in helping us on this journey.
Lord, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to see so many vets and veterinary nurses at this, your RCVS Day. My congratulations to all those who have received awards, honours and diplomas. 53 weeks ago, I was asked what I'd like to achieve in my presidential year. Somewhat tongue-in-cheek, I said, nothing. Not because I didn't want to achieve anything, and not because there weren't things that needed doing, but because the President is in many ways a figurehead and also a target. But the college has achieved much this year, and I hope my hand on the tiller has helped it on its journey. One day I will sit down and work out the number of train journeys, miles and hotels that have made up the year. I have met so many vets and vet nurses, attended every major veterinary conference, admitted over 1,000 new veterinary surgeons and several hundred nurses to the profession. It's taken me from Bristol to Omagh, from North Wales to Inverness, York, Birmingham, Telford, Manchester, Harrogate, Cardiff, only one overseas trip to Dublin for a recent graduate seminar. An awful lot has happened over the last year, but I will spend a moment on a couple of issues because of the passion they have aroused in the profession. They are the 24/7 emergency care review and the issue of which post-nominals we should or should not publish in the register. In both these cases, online petitions played a role. It's a sign of the times that an online petition can so quickly rouse many supporters and allow them to put their comments to decision-making bodies. As a regulator, we need to remain even-handed, which is why I feel that the recent call for evidence for 24-hour emergency cover was such a positive exercise. This was definitely needed, as many veterinary surgeons, including robust, experienced individuals who I know well, had become fearful of disciplinary action if they declined a home visit. There is also real frustration from practices being bombarded by demands to provide out-of-hours services to clients of neighbouring practices whose out-of-hours cover was being provided by someone else, often at a distance. I hope this new guidance will provide practitioners with reassurance while keeping animal welfare front and centre. And I would like to thank Claire Tatsfield-White and the rest of the committee for the huge amount of work that they did in developing what I think is a really good step forward. The second area where petitioners played a part in operational board and council thinking was regards to the use of post-nominals in the register. I'm not going to rehash the argument, as it's been done ad nauseum in the veterinary press, and council will make a final decision at a later meeting. But the issue stemmed from the planned implementation of the new advanced practitioner status, which is itself a good example of the nature of our role. The advanced practitioner status is a clear example of how we are working hard to help the profession advance its standards, and doing this in a way that is accountable to and understandable by the public, including the requirement for reaccreditation. We are a Royal College that regulates. In the past, it may have appeared that the emphasis was on regulation, which is a core part of our role. But this was perhaps to understate what we needed to do to work with the profession to assure that collectively it is fit to practice, both now and in the future. Now, with a new Royal Charter on its way, which will give a clearer foundation for our Royal College activities, and so importantly makes nurses associates of the college, we have a fantastic opportunity to ensure that the profession remains healthy, fit for purpose and suitably skilled for the long term. The profession faces challenges, but I am confident that, with the commitment of council members, the hard work of RCVS staff and constructive contributions from the profession and public, we will continue to develop and be able to ensure the health and welfare of animals committed to our care, making us just as strong when I, hopefully, reach my 50th anniversary of becoming MLCVS in another 25 years' time. Thank you.
Lord, ladies and gentlemen, a few words first about Neil, and I'll come back to him later, but Neil, thank you so much for mentioning my veterinary roots. I think my father would be proud, perhaps surprised, and no doubt a little amused by this turn of events. I have a few tasks to complete first of all, and they're very pleasant tasks. My first one is I would like to welcome Bradley Viner as Vice President of the College. Bradley was elected to this position at the March meeting of Council and reconfirmed today. I now bring to the meeting the name of Amanda Bogue as Treasurer of the College. Amanda was elected to this position at the June meeting of Council. So what of the future? You've heard an enormous amount of work has been going on at the college over the last year, and that work will continue. But there are perhaps three things that I might be bringing to your attention in a year's time. The first is building on the huge success of the modernisation that has been going on at the college and the success of the LRO in changing the way we conduct our disciplinary processes, the new charter which we've heard about today. The second builds on the back of activities this year that haven't been mentioned, and that is the work of the International Accreditors Working Group. The RCVS, as an accreditor, works very closely with organisations like the American Veterinary Medical Association, the European Association for the Establishments of Veterinary Education, and the Australian Board's Veterinary Council, all of whom are involved in accrediting and setting the standards for veterinary education. But there is a question out there, and that is, should we be doing more on an international stage, given that international medicine is, by definition, a global activity? Should the RCVS be involved more in helping set standards outside the confines of the United Kingdom. The third and last point spawns from that. And that is, because we are working in an international context, it's become increasingly apparent that as individuals come to these shores to study, carrying the term doctor, that our own practicing veterinary surgeons in this country graduating from UK schools do not. Now, this has been debated before, and I'm sure that there are some firmly entrenched views. But we do know that our colleagues in the dental profession have recently taken the option of adopting the title doctor. And maybe there is a time now for us to consider both in terms of our recruitment of students to our schools within this country, but also in terms of helping our graduates going and working overseas, whether they should be allowed to carry the term doctor. So those are three things that I think may be on the agenda. I have to convince my council members that they are worthwhile taking forward. I know there's a goodwill on the part of the staff, and I now join with Neil in thanking the staff for everything that they have done for the college over the last 12 months. I say this knowing that I'm going to need their help in the next 12 months, so I have a vested interest. And I think our council members very rarely get the opportunity to thank the staff publicly, but I ask our council members and indeed everybody here present to thank Nick and his entire team for everything they do, both today but throughout the year. Thank you, guys. My final thing, if you don't mind, Registrar, is to return to our outgoing President. And I know you'll have very difficult shoes to fill. This tweeting thing that you tell me about, I'm glad to know you don't know the difference between tweeting and twerking. But I know that's going to be perhaps the most challenging for me. But Neil, on behalf of all of us here today, but particularly the Council, could I ask you to come forward and receive a small token of our appreciation? Thank you, Neil. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hand back to the Registrar, who's been itching to get on his feet for some time now. I look forward to working with you over the coming 12 months. Thank you very much.
Right, you've almost got rid of us now. My Lord, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the ceremony. Most of us will now join you, so please will you stay seated for the guest lecture.